Hatching can be used to great effect in landscape CAD drawings. You can apply some texture to quite large areas. This design uses hatching in a grassed area at the bottom of the screen. Note in the properties box there's a pattern name associated with it, but also note down here there's only one object. If we look at the adjoining area of crushed granite, again, it's just one object, has its own layer and properties associated with it. If I scroll out a little and I'll pan up, there's also down here another hatch area. So we've looked at 3 different hatch zones. But if I pick this area here, there's not one single hatch entity. Let's zoom in on it and try and work out what has happened. You would normally form a closed polyline around an area that you wish to hatch. For example, this one here, it's closed and the designer's applied a hatch pattern to it. If we select it here, it's a hatch pattern with dots. So most of the zones to which hatching's been applied here have been done by hatching a closed polyline. What's happened here is, in the stop zone, is that the hatching has been exploded. If I select this bench, it's on a layer called bench, and if I pick the barbecue, it's on a layer called BBQ, I think, BBQ5. So if we come to our layers control, and if we turn off the barbecue and the bench, we may be able to get a clue as to what's happening underneath and why is hatching no longer a single entity but many individual polylines or line segments. I think they're just lines, so let's pick just one of them. There were 18 of them in that little selection set, and the entity is, it's a line. So hatching puts, in this case for herringbone, a whole series of lines, and you can see what the designer has done. They must have broken up or exploded the hatching for incorporating that into the barbecue area. So it's, in a sense, is something you should avoid trying to do because the file size is quite dramatically increased by that. So I would recommend removing all of this hatching in here, putting a nice neat polyline, not that one, I'd do a new polyline around that area, hatch it with the herringbone pattern, which would be one entity, and then reinstate the bench and the barbecue. It's not a major problem because it prints correctly, but if you do explode hatching, you will blow up the file size of the design substantially. Well, I've now rehatched the area, so if we click on it, it's one single entity. So if we now go back to our layers and turn on the barbecue and the bench, we can go OK. What now happens is that the symbol for the barbecue, we can see the hatching underneath, and clearly that doesn't look right, and that is why our designer has selected the hatch pattern, exploded it, and then done some editing. There is a quicker way, and that is that if we pick that block or symbol, we can edit it on the fly. And if we take, in fact, I was going to say, what I would do is just draw a new rectangle from, say, we want an end point there to that point there, and I've got its colour left at the colour of the paving, so we'll just say back to by layer, and we'll then fill it. Maybe we'll give it a colour of say a 253, and then we can send that to the back and close. Now the pattern underneath the barbecue doesn't show. We need a little bit of extra work there to make the barbecue work exactly as we want, but that is a benefit to the file size. And since we've done some useful work on that symbol, we might copy it and put it in our own block library. So I hope that helps.